friends, welcome to All Under Tutor. I am Sanjay. In this video, we'll discuss a very interesting and important concept of Laravel, and that is how to seed dummy data inside our table. This topic is very important because in many projects we want some dummy data, some fake data to do any type of testing. So by the help of this video, you will understand that how to create dummy data, fake data inside Laravel. We have one more request. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can create such type of amazing videos, amazing content for free for you. Let's go back to slide first. So in this video, we'll see the complete concept all about fake data generation. So we'll start from project setup. After project setup, then we see all about to create a table by using migrations concept. Once we create table, then we need data. So before creating fake data, dummy data, we need a factory file. So we'll create factory file using artisan command, and inside that factory file, we'll use the concept of faker library. And finally, we're to execute that factory file to create dummy data. So let's see first all about project setup. So I will go inside official website laravel.com. Click on documentation. I will prefer Composer installation. So I will search for Composer. We can see that here we have the command. I will copy, back to slide, open a new tab. So this is all about a Composer command to create a project of Laravel of the setup name. So I will change the setup name. Let's call it as Laravel YT videos. I will copy the Composer command back to project terminal. So I am inside this YT folder. Let's type ls to see all the folders. So inside this YT folder, we have two setup. Now let's create our third setup. So here we have the Composer command, Composer, create project of Laravel, and this is our setup name. I am pressing enter. We can see that installation now started. And successfully we can see that project now installed. If I back to folder structure, so we can see that here we have our third setup called Laravel-YT-videos. So I will open this setup into my VS Code editor. You can choose any of your favorite editor. So we open with other application. I will click on this select button. So successfully I have opened that setup into my VS Code editor. So first thing first, I will execute this setup into browser. Back to project terminal. Let's clear first ls. This is our third setup. So I will go inside that cd laravel-yt-videos. If I type php artisan, it will provide the complete command list. Now from this command list, we'll use a command called php artisan serve. It will start the inbuilt development server. So php artisan serve. If I press enter, we can see that development server started. To access project, I need to open this URL into browser. So let's copy link, back to browser, open a new tab, pasting it here. Now we can see that this is all about the default landing page of Laravel version 10. So this is all about the first step, all about project setup. Now next, I will create a database and connect with this application. Back to phpMyAdmin, click on databases. So go here, let's say Laravel_YT_videos. Let's copy the database name, click on create button, database created. Back to editor, I will open .env file, which we can find at the project root. So I will search for db connection and all about connection string value variables. Now in these variables, db host equals to localhost. So here we are using localhost, so it is okay. Port is also okay. db database. So this is our name. In my case, the username of phpMyAdmin is admin and password is admin@123. In your case, maybe it will be different. So successfully, now this setup now connected with the database. Next we need a table. So let's say that we'll create a students table, and inside that table we'll have some columns. So what we want to generate some dummy data by using the concept of factory inside our students table. But before that, let's see some default behavior of this Laravel version. So what we can do, First, I will go inside database, migrations. Now we can see that here we have already many tables. These are migration class files. So once we migrate, these files will create the respective tables. Now if I go inside factories folder, now we can see that by default this Laravel setup has provided user factory. It means when we migrate, then this migration class file will create a table called users. And once we use the concept of database seeding, so by using the concept of user factory, we can insert dummy data inside this users table. So first I will see the default concept of Laravel. So let's execute these files first to create tables inside our database. So back to project terminal, PHP artisan, I will use the command called migrate to migrate all migrations. Now as we can see that all migrations now migrated. Back to our database, click on structure. Now as you can see that our tables created. Now let's use the concept of user factory to create dummy data for users table. So right now inside this table we can see total number of rows equals to 0. But we'll use the concept of default concept of Laravel to generate dummy data for users table using the concept of user factory. So what we can do here, let's go back to terminal and I will open PHP artisan tinker. Tinker is a shell command. By the help of that we can execute or interact with our Laravel application. So here to open tinker shell, I will type PHP artisan tinker. Press enter. Now we can see that it has opened our PSY cell. Inside this cell, we need to execute our factory command. So what we want to generate dummy data for users table. So first, I will use the concept of user model class. So by default, this setup also provides a default model class that is for users table called user.php. So if I go inside app, models, now we can see that this is the by default model class what we get after installation of Laravel. Back to terminal. So here let's say user scope resolution operator. I will use factory method because we want to use user factory. Now next I will call count method and we want let's say 100 number of rows. So I will pass 100 count and then I will use create method. So once we execute this line, automatically it will use user factory to create 100 number of dummy data. Let's press enter. Now we can see that all the rows now created. If I go inside our table, click on structure, now we can see that inside this users table, here we have 100 number of rows. So this is the total dummy data what we have generated within seconds. So this is the use of factory files inside Laravel to generate dummy data within seconds so that we can create or we can do any type of testing for our application. Let's go inside table once. Now we can see that inside users table we have a real time of data. We can see ID means it is auto incremented, name, email verified at, password and all other field values. Now here in this video we want to create our own custom table called students. Inside that table we'll have some columns. Then after we'll create a factory file and by using the concept of figure library we'll generate dummy data. So instead of using the default behavior of Laravel to create dummy users, we want to create our own custom data. So first I will create a table. Back to project terminal. Let's close that first. PHP artisan make migration and I will create students table. Press enter. It has created a migration class file. Let's go back to editor. I will go inside database, migrations. Now we can see that this is our last created file. By using this up method, we can create table skeleton, table schema inside our database. So let's say that I want to create a students table where we need columns as ID, name, email, age and let's say designation, and also let's say gender. So these are the columns we want to generate or we want to create inside our students table. So this is ID first. So we get ID from this ID method, and also we don't need any timestamps value. So I will remove this one. So after ID, let's say table object, I will call string method. Let's pass the column name. So next we want the name value. So name. In the second value, I will pass let's say 100 characters. This is the length of this field. Next we have email field. It is also going to accept the string value. So email, let's say 100 characters. If I go inside table structure, next we have the age value. So let's say table object, string, or let's say integer. This is age value. And next we want designation. So let's say table object, string value. Let's say designation, and also this is 100 characters length, and this column is optionally, it means this will also contain the null value. So I will use one more method, that is nullable. It means that all these columns means name, email and age is not going to accept any null value, but this column also accept the null value. And finally, after designation, we want a gender column. So table, let's enum, means enumeration type, here gender. After gender, here we have the set of values, let's say male, female and other. It means that inside this column called gender, we need only these values. Apart from these values, will not accept any other value, either the gender field value, either it will be male, female or other. So successfully, this is all about the table structure of students. So I will go and migrate it inside our database. Go here, PHP, artisan, migrate, press enter, migration completed. Let's go back to our database, click on structure. So here we can see that students table. Let's click on that, go to structure. So here we have ID, name, email, age, designation. We can see that inside this default column, here we have the null value only for this designation. Here we have gender, which is of type enum, and this is the set of value which is going to accept here. So successfully now we have created our table migration. Next I will create our model class. So before creating model class, we need to understand all about the naming convention. So while creating any table name always should be plural. Here we have created called students, so this is a plural. But if we want to create a model class of this table, so model name always should be singular. So model class name will be called student. Let's go here, PHP, artisan, make model, and it will be student, which points to our students table. Press enter, model created. I will go inside app, models, and here we have student.php. Now here inside this model class, first thing first, we need to tell our model that we are not going to accept any timestamps value. So here, let's say public timestamps equals to false, because we have removed timestamps method from this migration. So we need to tell our model that we are not using any timestamp value. So successfully, this is all about the setting, means small setting for this model class. Now next, we need to create a factory file. So again, I will use PHP artisan command to create a factory file. So once we create factory file, it will go and store inside database and factories folder. Back to project terminal, PHP artisan make factory, then we need to type our factory class name. So here let's say student factory, press enter. Now we can see that our factory file now created. Back to editor, go inside database, factories, and here we have student factory.php. Now here comes the most important point of this video. Is all about using Faker library to generate dummy data. So here I will go inside definition. I need to provide all the column names where we need values. So as we know that by using this student factory, we need to generate data for a students table. So let's go back to our table first. So here we need to create any student. So we need values for name, email, age, designation and gender. So first thing first, I need to add all these columns right here inside this return array. So let's say name, email, age, designation and gender. Next we need values for all these columns. So here we'll use the concept of Faker library. Inside our older versions of Laravel, like for example Laravel version 5, we had this third-party package. It means Faker is the composer command. By the help of that, we can install this package inside our Laravel application to generate dummy data. But after Laravel 5th version, now this time we have this library integrated by default inside our application. So we need to call that. So here, let's say that I want to generate the value for this name field. So this I will call Faker, means this is an object, and by the help of this object we can call its properties and methods to generate dummy data. So for example, we need values for name. So this is an object, and by the help of that we'll call the first property or method called name. So we can see that these first two inside this hint section, these are methods. But also here we can see that this is a settings icon and this is all about a property. So either we can use any method or any property to generate the name value. So let's say that I will use this property here. Now let's go and generate the email value. So this Faker, and I will call safe email. Either we can use method or we can see inside the hint section we have also the property available. Now let's go and use for this age field. So let's say that we want the age value of any student from 25 to 30. It means for age field we have a range value. So here let's say this Faker, and I will call number between. It's a method, means number between, and look at here, the first value we need to pass the minimum. So here let's say we want 20, and I will accept the age value up to 30. So this is a range. By the help of that, this method will generate dummy value like 21, 25, 27 each time, a random value between these parameters. So this is the minimum value and this will be the maximum value. Now finally, for this designation, let's say this Faker, and this time I will call random element, and inside this random element, look at here, we need to pass an array here. So let's say that the designation will be called SEO, PHP means PHP developer, web designer, let's say front-end developer, and let's say final tester. So this is all about designation. So whenever it will generate dummy data row by row, so automatically means in the random way it will pick any value. Either it can pick the value of like let's say PHP developer for the first row, for second it can pick a value called tester. So this is all about on the behavior of this random element method. Now we need for gender. So here let's say this Faker. For this gender field also we'll use the concept of random element, but this time inside this random element method we need to pass the values like male, female and other, because for this field we want any value from all these values. Let's go back to our table first. check all the values, so male, female and other. So here it is looking good for this gender field. So successfully, this is all about the code logic using Faker library to generate fake data each time of each row for a student's table. Now finally, we need to load this student factory inside our database seeder to create dummy data. So next I will go inside seeders folder. Let's open database seeder, go inside this run method, and here I will call our student model class. Automatically, by the concept of student model class, we'll call this factory file. So here I will call from app models student scope resolution operator called factory method. Let's say that we want 100 number of rows, so I will pass 100 and I will use create method. So successfully, this is all about the logic to add inside this run method. Look at file, this is database seeder. So once we use the command called dbseed of artisan, automatically this file will get executed and automatically it will call this run method. And this run method will execute this model class and factory file to generate 100 number of dummy data. Back to project terminal, php artisan db:/seed. So once we execute, automatically it will call database seeder, execute this run method, and hopefully we'll get 100 number of rows inside our students table. Let's press enter. Data seeded. If I go click on browse, now we can see that inside our table we are getting 100 number of rows. So successfully, this is the concept from project installation up to creation of dummy data for our table. So finally, we have completed each and everything of this video. Let's go back to slide. So here we have done the project setup, created table migration, generated our factory file and used all about the concept of Faker library and also executed factory file to generate data. So I am 100% sure that after watching this video, you will have the complete idea that how to generate dummy data for Laravel application using factory and Faker library. So please like, subscribe to this channel and share this video as much as you can. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.